Yep, we are back yet again, and today we'll be talking about this tiny little thing I'm holding in my hand. This is the brand new Samsung Galaxy Ring, and I've been wearing it for a few days now. I've learned a lot about it in that short amount of time, and today, we just need to talk about it. Like I said, this is more of an initial review just because of the limited amount of time I spent with this ring, but I have learned a lot about it, both the good and the bad, and in this video, we'll be jumping through all of the features and specs of this ring, my experience with it so far, how it compares to all the other rings I have, because I have just about everyone on the market, and we'll also take a look at the accuracy of this thing, and that part is gonna be pretty interesting. So if you've been living under a rock, you might be wondering what this thing is. Well, it is a smart ring with a bunch of sensors in it, and the cool thing about this is that it kind of ties into the Samsung Health ecosystem. So if you have a watch like this is the Galaxy Watch Ultra, and you purchase a Samsung Galaxy Ring, you now have two devices that kind of tie into the same data source, so it kind of fills the gaps in your data, and we'll talk more about that later. When it comes to purchasing the Samsung Galaxy Ring, it does get a little bit confusing because it's not simply like buying a watch or a phone or something like that. These have sizes. So the first thing you're gonna do before you even buy the ring is purchase the sizing kit, and once you size your finger, you get a good fit, you wear it to bed and make sure you're comfortable, that's when you can go ahead and buy the actual ring. Now the cool thing about that sizing kit, in most cases, you'll actually get that $10 back as a coupon when you buy the ring, because the ring itself is $399 here in the USA. On the topic of sizing though, you might not actually need to buy that sizing kit, because in my example, I actually just ordered the same size as my Oura Ring and some of my other rings, and it turns out the Samsung Galaxy Ring is pretty much the same size as all of those other options. Moving on to the next topic, and that's going to be compatibility with your ring. So the Samsung Galaxy Ring is unique in that it's only compatible with Android phones. This is not going to be compatible with iPhones, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. On the compatibility front though, it does get more confusing because it is compatible with Android phones, but if you want the best experience and the most data, you will need to use the ring with a Samsung Galaxy phone to unlock all of those extra features. Those are features like the new energy score, the AI health bits, and the Find My Ring function, and of course the gesture controls that let you like pinch to control your phone. With all those details out of the way, let's get down to brass tacks here and take a look at the hardware. I'm gonna have to zoom in my camera because of how tiny this thing really is. So here we've got the Samsung Galaxy Ring, and as you can see, it looks super light and thin, and it really is. This thing is absolutely tiny, and if we compare it to some of the other rings I have here, I've got the Oura Ring Horizon here, I've got an Ultrahuman Ring Air here, I've even got the original Oura Ring here, and to add one more, I also have the Ring-Con here, and all of these rings are super light and thin, but I gotta say, the smallest of the bunch is kind of a tie between the Ultrahuman Ring Air here and the Galaxy Ring. In some ways, I think the Galaxy Ring is actually smaller. And I gotta say, when I slip this ring on my finger, as you can see here, I barely notice I'm wearing it. It does fit really well, and I enjoy wearing it because it just gets out of the way and you kind of forget it's there. There is a particular way to wear the ring. You wanna have this little indent, there's a little bump right there. You wanna have that on the inside of your palm for the best accuracy, because that's where the optical heart rate sensors are located. The exterior shell of the Galaxy Ring is made out of titanium. I've only been wearing it for a few days, but the coating on it is holding up so far. I do have 4 little kids, and I do a lot of things with my hands, so far so good, no scratches. And when it comes to the sensors inside this ring, it's kind of shocking how much they crammed in there. So there is an accelerometer on board, and they use that to detect steps throughout the day, your step count. There's also an optical heart rate sensor, of course. On top of that, there's an SpO2 sensor that picks up the blood oxygen saturation level, and finally a skin temperature sensor that checks your skin temp throughout the night. Now, another really unique thing about the Samsung Galaxy Ring is that it also comes with a case, and it's not just any old case. So here I've got the Galaxy Ring case, and if I open that up, you actually get a little welcome light, and you can see it's not plugged in. In fact, there's actually a battery inside this case. So all you've got to do is put your ring in there, and then when you're traveling or you're on an airplane or you're at a hotel or something, you put your ring in there, you close the top, and it's now charging and good to go. And the cool thing about this case is that it has a pretty big battery in it. It's got a 361 milliamp hour battery. And just for reference, the battery inside the ring itself, in my size, is only about 18 milliamp hours. So theoretically, I should be able to charge this ring like a lot of times over and over again with the case before I actually have to go ahead and charge the case. Now the case itself is actually kind of cool looking. Of course, it's clear. You can see that with your own eyes. I think the battery is actually housed in this lower portion here, but when you close it, you get this really cool effect of the color of the ring that kind of projects around in a donut shape there, and that illuminating glowing thing underneath it that just makes it really cool looking. The case has a couple of additional functions. So if you open it up, there's a little button right in the middle here on the center post where the ring charges. If you tap it once, it gives you the battery level of the ring. And if you hold it down, it will go into pairing mode so you can change what phone you have the ring paired to. And when it comes to charging the ring, this will actually fast charge your Galaxy Ring from 0 to 40% in about 30 minutes. And then the rest of the charge will slow down a bit, but overall it should only take about an hour to get to a full charge. Speaking of a full charge, let's talk about battery life with the ring itself without the case involved. That's where things get kind of confusing because on the Samsung website, they advertise up to 7 days of use with your Galaxy Ring, which is on the high side compared to all the other smart rings out there. However, there is some fine print involved here, so it depends on the ring size you have. If you've got a big old finger, a size 13, you'll get the most battery life because you can fit the most battery inside the shell of the ring. And that ring has a 23.5 milliamp hour battery and should last up to that claimed 7 days. However, if you're like me and you've got a size 8 finger, you're gonna get more like an 18 milliamp hour battery, and that battery should only last about 5 to 6 days. Now, keeping those specs in mind, when it comes to my personal use case with my size 8 ring, it seems about right and right in line with the specs of like 5 to 6 days, but I do need to spend more time with it to get a better feel on how long the battery will last. Hey there, quick interruption. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and drop down and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down below, because it turns out only like 80% of you are actually subscribed to my channel and you've been watching my channel, so you might as well do it. It helps me out, it makes me happy. All right, back to the video. Now that we've talked about the hardware of the ring, let's get down to what this thing can actually do. And to do that, we're gonna take a look at Samsung Health on my phone here. So like I said at the beginning of this video, the unique feature about the Samsung Galaxy Ring is that it can be used in conjunction with a Samsung Galaxy Watch, like the Galaxy Watch Ultra I'm wearing here. So Samsung Health uses some smarts behind the scenes to prioritize where they're getting their data from. If you're wearing the ring and not the watch, Samsung Health will know that, and it will prioritize the heart rate sensor and all of the sensors of the ring and forget about the watch until you put it back on. Let's go through this app and show you what it can actually do. So right at the top, like I said, we've got the pairing connections. Both the watch and the ring are connected. Below that, you've got some information. So this is the AI coach thing that Samsung came up with. I mean, it's cool. I don't know what to do with that data. It's interesting that it reads my stuff and gives me some AI blurbs, but not super useful or insightful information. Scrolling down further, you can see my past workout here of 57 seconds because I was testing some stuff out. And then below that, you've got manual activities that you can start on the fly. Now this is super cool. So if I go ahead and turn off my Galaxy Watch Ultra here, I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna take it off my wrist just to make sure it's not doing anything. And then we're gonna go ahead and put my Galaxy Ring on my finger here. Gonna make sure it's positioned in the right way. And then we're gonna go ahead and say that we wanna start a workout. And now up in the corner of the display here, you're gonna see a little icon that says HRM with a little link icon. And that link icon is indicating that it's currently pulling my heart rate data from my ring and not my watch because that's off to the side and turned off. I'll say start. It's gonna count down from 3, and now we are off and running. And once the ring can get a good lock on my heart rate, we should see it pop up here where it says heart rate BPMs. There it is. So it just popped up. We're at 80 beats per minute, 79 beats per minute. And as you can see, we've got my pace, my cadence, my speed, my elevation gain, and my distance for this activity, for this running activity. So the cool thing here is I'm only wearing a tiny ring, and if I had my phone on me in a sleeve or in my pocket or something, I can still get a full workout in and collect all of the data from that workout without wearing my watch if it was charging or I left it behind or whatever else I'm doing. So scrolling down further past the workout area, you're gonna get all the standard metrics. I've got my step count for the day and my goal step count. Below that, I get my sleep score, which is my previous night of sleep, giving me 99 out of 100, which is a really high sleep score. We're gonna talk about that in a minute because it's not super accurate. But if we do dive into the sleep data here, you can see you get a whole bunch of data from your previous night of sleep. I've got my total sleep duration, what time I went to bed, what time I woke up, my sleep score, my sleep time, my recovery, my restfulness, my mental recovery, my sleep cycles, and my sleep stages on a graph. Scrolling down further, you also get your blood oxygen saturation throughout the night, and there's also a little thing here for snoring. This is actually actually pretty cool. So if you leave your phone on your nightstand in conjunction with the heart rate from your ring, it can actually detect snoring. And as you can see here, I had 9 minutes of snoring last night. So my wife is probably annoyed with me today. And scrolling down further, we do have my skin temperature throughout the night. And finally, down at the bottom here, we do have my heart rate and my respiratory rate, along with my sleep consistency. So that's my sleep metrics. Now, if I scroll down further, there's a whole bunch of other data. You've also got menstrual cycle tracking. You can track your water intake. And scrolling down further, we do have my 24/7 heart rate throughout the day and the night. You can see here, I've got a resting heart rate of 47 and a high of 140 during activities. I've got my all-day stress level here, my blood oxygen saturation throughout the night. And then finally, we do have the energy score. And this is sort of the big claim to fame with this new Galaxy platform that they just rolled out. So the energy score is a lot like what you'll find on other platforms. Oura calls this the readiness score. Fitbit, I think, also calls it the readiness score. There's Garmin body battery and training readiness. There's Suunto body resources. You get the idea. Just about everybody out there has some sort of readiness score. Samsung is calling theirs the energy score. So what this energy score does is it takes a whole bunch of variables and factors, rolls them all together, and tries to give you a score of how much energy you'll have to take on the day ahead. And you'll get the score first thing in the morning. The energy score is based on a 0 to 100 scale. So if you have 100% on your energy score, you're going to feel super refreshed and ready to go. If you have 48, like I do, you're going to be pretty tired, like I am. So here's where things get kind of interesting, because like I just said, if we scroll up, you can see my sleep score was 99, or excellent, but my energy score is 48. And the reason why my energy score is 48 is because I didn't sleep good. So why am I getting a 99 for my sleep score? Kind of interesting, right? I think the problem here is that the sleep score doesn't actually roll in some of the advanced variables like heart rate variability. All we've got here are the factors I mentioned. Now, if we jump back into the energy score and take a closer look at this, we can see all the factors that play a role in that rather low energy score. So that's going to be my sleep time average, my sleep consistency, my bed and wake time, my sleep timing, and so on. And you can see here, all of these metrics up top are in their normal range, so they're just like a gray color. However, if we scroll down, you can see there's some red here, and these red ones are sort of red flags telling you these are the ones that need your attention. So as you can see, like this energy score thing is a little bit more insightful in my opinion as compared to the sleep score that I just showed you. They're kind of sending me mixed signals, I think, and I think you would agree with that, and I'm not sure why both of them don't talk to each other and sort of get on the same level. Okay, now we've got to talk about the elephant in the room here, and that's going to be accuracy, heart rate sensor accuracy from the Galaxy Ring. That's where things get a little bit ugly. So to test the heart rate sensor accuracy on the Samsung Galaxy Ring, I've taken it on a few different runs paired directly to my phone without a watch involved at all, and also had my Garmin ECG sensor on my chest. Now, during most of these runs, I was moving at a pretty chill pace. I wasn't pushing myself too hard because I'm kind of in recovery mode right now, and my heart rate was pretty low. Like my perceived heart rate, what I felt was very low, and what I was seeing from my Garmin chest strap fell right in line with what I was feeling. Now, when I looked over at my phone and looked at the heart rate data I was collecting from the Galaxy Ring, I was a little bit shocked because my heart rate was nearly double that of my Garmin chest strap. I was seeing anywhere from 160 to 180 beats per minute from the Samsung Galaxy Ring sensors. However, all is not lost with the Samsung Galaxy Ring because that super high heart rate reading only seems to affect the very beginning of every activity. My theory behind this is that the Ring is doing some sort of active calibration process during the first 5 to 10 minutes of the activity where it's trying to find your heart rate and sort of lock into it, and that's when it gets a lot better. With that said, even after the heart rate sort of locks on and stabilizes a bit, it's still not super accurate, and I think you'll agree with me as you look at this graph. There's areas where the heart rate drops and spikes unexpectedly, and there's other areas where it completely flatlines, indicating that the sensor just lost track of my heart rate. And just to remind you, this Ring does fit my finger quite snugly, and I did make sure to position the Ring in the correct way, having that little dimple in the back there. And just to reiterate this entire video, this is still my initial review. I've only had the Ring for a few days now. I will continue to test it long term, and hopefully there'll be some software and firmware updates and things like that that can help improve the accuracy, but right now it's a little bit all over the place. With that being said, is this an issue? Maybe. I think in day-to-day use, when your heart rate is rather low and not out on a run or a bike ride, and you're not flailing your arms around running or hanging on to handlebars or lifting weights, that's when you're gonna get the most accuracy, because that gives the Ring a better chance of getting a good heart rate signal. Okay, now it's time for final thoughts and conclusions and who I think this Galaxy Ring is for. The Samsung Galaxy Ring actually has a lot going for it, because it's one of the rare devices on the market right now that tie into an existing ecosystem that allow you to track your daily wellness 24 hours a day with either your smartwatch or the smart ring. And that's really cool. It just eliminates any gaps in your data when you're charging one device or the other. But before I get into whether or not you should run out and actually buy this thing, I do want to address that Samsung was not the first company to do a lot of these things that are going on with this ring. For example, this is the Amazfit Helio ring, and this is a brand you may or may not have heard of, and they also make smartwatches. And guess what? Both the Helio ring and the smartwatches they make communicate with the same app on your phone. And then there's the really cool battery case here, and I really do like this case. However, if we take a look at RingCon here, this is the RingCon battery case. And as you can see, again, this is the RingCon ring, this is a case, and this has a battery inside of it that will also charge your rings. And finally, even though Samsung is promoting that they don't have a subscription with their new ring, they're not the first to do that either. In fact, most rings on the market right now do not have a subscription, and Oura Ring is sort of in the minority as having that subscription. You could buy something like the Ultrahuman Ring Air or the RingCon or the Amazfit Helio ring, and none of those have a subscription. So there's a lot of options without a subscription as well. With that being said, even though they're not the first to do a lot of these things, they are a huge company, and Samsung has a ton of design resources in-house, so their execution with this particular ring is above average. The hardware itself is super nice. I love the fit and finish, the way it feels on my finger. It's super lightweight and comfortable. I also like the way it works with the Samsung Health app and the way all of the data is laid out. It's all very useful and insightful. In particular, that energy score I find really interesting. There are some things with this ring I'd like to see fixed via a software update, like the raw heart rate data and the accuracy not being super accurate in my testing so far. Another thing I'd like to see fixed in software that I doubt they'll fix is the lack of iPhone support and the exclusivity of Galaxy phones to get the most features out of this product. It sort of backs the Galaxy Ring into a corner. And that brings us to the final thoughts here. Should you run out and buy the Samsung Galaxy Ring? Well, maybe. If you are a hardcore Samsung Galaxy user, you're in the ecosystem already, this ring makes a lot of sense. It's going to integrate with what you're using now very seamlessly. It's a really easy purchase. It gets set up and running super quickly, and you don't need to download any other apps. However, if you're not exclusively a Samsung Galaxy user and you're not in that ecosystem, you've got a Motorola phone, or maybe you've got an iPhone, or maybe you have multiple devices and you'd like to switch pairing of your ring between devices, that's where buying something else from one of these other companies like Oura Ring, Ultrahuman, Helio Ring, any of these other things might cause less friction for you. I guess the moral of the story here is that the Samsung Galaxy Ring is really cool. There's no doubt about that, and I have actually enjoyed my experience with it so far. The price is fair at $400, there's no subscription, and it does mostly what it says on the box. But in my opinion, it's really only suited for a very small percentage of users out there in the Galaxy ecosystem. But that's just my opinion, and I'm just some guy on the internet talking to myself in a room by myself. Now's the point of the video. I want to hear from you. Drop into the comments down below and let me know what you think about the Samsung Galaxy Ring. Did you run out and buy one? Have you been using it? What's your accuracy been like? Are you seeing those weird anomalies like me? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're down there commenting, it would also be an opportune time to go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. So make sure to hit that button. It just makes me feel better at the end of the day. And then after you finish subscribing, do one more thing. Drop into the description of this video where you'll find links to pick up your own Samsung Galaxy Ring, the Galaxy Watch Ultra, the Apple products I talked about, my Garmin watch. I'll have it all linked down below. Those links do help support this channel, but they cost nothing extra to you. And then go ahead and check out chasetosummit.com where you can pick up a sweet t-shirt like this or one of my custom running hats. Distance over speed. You like what I did there? All right, friends, that is the end of this kind of long-winded video. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to give you the most information possible in my time with this ring. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.